4 times a message was written with your name on it. 4 times it never reached you. And you have felt every one of those losses without ever knowing what they were. Chosen one. Before you close this and move on with your night, you deserve to understand why you are here. You did not find this message. It found you. It found you on an ordinary evening, in the middle of an ordinary moment, because the fourth deletion has just been reversed, and the timing of that reversal is not an accident. Heaven does not send a final note twice by mistake. I am not speaking in riddles. There is a final note that has been waiting to be placed in your hands for years. Not a vague feeling, not a mood that passes. A specific word with a specific instruction inside it, written for one season of your life, and that season is the one you are standing in right now. Before this message ends, I am going to read that note with you, line by line. But first you deserve to know what happened to the other 4 copies. Because they were sent. They arrived. And something happened to every single one of them before they could land. That is the mystery we are going to open together. And I promise you, it goes deeper than you think. Here is what I can tell you now. By the end of this message, you will understand why every season that felt like almost breakthrough collapsed at the last moment. You will feel a weight lift that you have been carrying so long you stopped noticing it was there. And you will know the one thing heaven is asking you to do tonight. Not someday, tonight. There is a moment you know very well. You sit down to pray, or you open the old pages, or you simply lie in the dark and try to listen. And the line feels dead, not hostile, just quiet. You remember a season when guidance felt near, when you could sense direction the way you sense weather. And now you strain to hear anything at all, and the silence feels personal. You have told yourself a story about that silence. You drifted. You got distracted. You let the world get too loud, and you failed to protect your fire. But that explanation has never fully fit, has it? Because you never stopped wanting to hear. A person who abandoned the signal does not lie awake aching for it. Distance was never your choice. So the story of your failure cannot be the true story. So consider a different possibility. What if nothing was ever wrong with your desire? What if the messages were arriving the entire time, and something was overwriting them before they could land? Not blocking them, overwriting them. There is a name for that pattern, and I am going to give it to you in a few minutes, because once you see it, you can never unsee it, and once you name it, it loses most of its power. If your chest tightened just now, that reaction is not random. That is recognition, and recognition is the first proof that this note carries your name. So do one thing before we go further. Type, "The note found me" in the comments right now. Not for me, for you. It is the first time in 4 deletions that you get to confirm receipt, and something shifts in a person the moment they finally sign for what was always theirs. Now let me take you back to the first deletion, because that is where the mystery begins. The first copy of your note arrived when you were young. You remember the moment more than the words. A sense, sudden and warm, that you were made for something specific. Maybe you said it out loud, and someone laughed, or corrected you, or told you to be realistic. The message had landed, but within days, an older voice wrote over it. Be small, be safe, do not hope like that again. The second copy arrived years later, in a season of open doors. You felt pulled toward something and you almost moved. Then came the loss. You know the one I mean. The door that closed so hard the whole house shook. And in the grief, a new sentence wrote itself over the word you had received. This is what happens when you hope. That sentence has been running quietly ever since. The third copy arrived during the survival years, when life was so loud you never even noticed it. The word came, and the noise of holding everything together swallowed it whole. Bills, people, deadlines, other needs pressing on you from every side. You were not rebellious. You were exhausted. A message cannot land on a mind that is already carrying more than it was ever asked to carry alone. And the fourth copy came recently. You felt it. A stirring in these last months, a sense that something is about to change, that you are being prepared for a shift you cannot explain. And then the doubt moved in with its familiar furniture. Who are you to believe that? Look at your record. Look at your age, your account, your history. And the stirring went quiet again. Now watch what all four deletions have in common, because this is where the mystery cracks open. Not one of them happened in heaven. No message was ever withdrawn from the other side. Every single deletion happened inside the receiving instrument, inside you. An older, louder voice was already occupying the space where the new word was meant to land, and it simply wrote over the arrival, every time, in seconds. We call this the fourth deletion, not because it only happened 4 times, but because the fourth is where the pattern either gets seen or repeats forever. Do you understand what this means about your past? You were never ignoring God. You were never too weak to hear. For all those years you blamed your desire, your discipline, your worthiness, and the entire time the problem was a mechanism, an automatic overwrite running in the background of your mind. You did not fail to listen. Something in the instrument was rewriting the mail. That is not guilt. That is mechanics. And mechanics can be repaired. There is an old account that proves how heaven responds to deleted words. A scribe named Baruch once wrote down an entire scroll of divine instruction, sentence by sentence, at the dictation of the prophet Jeremiah. A king who hated the message cut the scroll into pieces and fed it to the fire, column by column, until nothing remained. The word had been erased by human hands, deleted completely, and the response from heaven was not mourning, it was a command. Take another scroll, write it all again. And the second scroll was written longer than the first. Hear this, chosen one. When a word from God gets deleted, it does not die. It returns expanded. Your note was not destroyed 4 times. It was rewritten 4 times, and each version grew. If that lands on you the way it landed on me, put it where your own eyes can see it. Type, write it again in the comments. Let it be your own command over every word that fire and fear ever took from you. Because now a harder question rises, and it is the question this whole message turns on. If the note kept being rewritten, what does it actually say? I have only shown you the envelope. The first line inside it is stranger than you expect. The first line of the note is not an instruction. It is a correction, and it corrects the one belief that has shaped your inner life more than any other. The note opens like this. My child, I never stopped speaking. You never stopped mattering. The silence you grieved was never my absence. It was interference. Sit with that word, interference. Because for years you interpreted the quiet as verdict. You thought silence meant disqualification, that heaven had reviewed your file and moved on to someone cleaner, someone more disciplined, someone who did not fall asleep mid-prayer. The first line of the note dismantles that entire courtroom. There was no verdict. There was static on the line. The ancient language knew something about hearing that we forgot. The old Hebrew word for hear is shama. But shama never meant sound entering an ear. It meant to hear so completely that the hearing becomes action, the way a seed hears rain. When the old texts say hear, they mean receive all the way down, which means the opposite of hearing was never deafness. It was interruption between the ear and the depths. And that is exactly where your 4 deletions lived. Not in your ears, not in your desire. In the space between receiving and becoming. The note was heard, technically. It was never absorbed. Understanding that distinction changes the entire question of your life. The question was never, how do I make God speak louder? The question is, what has been standing in the space where words become root? Now I need to pause and hold something in front of you before we continue. Over the past few years, something was discovered in research laboratories that most people who care about these sacred things have never been told about. Not because it contradicts anything holy, because it came from a direction most of us were not watching. A small group of neuroscientists, led by a doctor in New York, who has spent decades studying the human mind, found something about the way we are built that explains what spiritually sensitive people have always felt, but could never name. It is so fundamental that it traces back to a Nobel Prize, and so simple in its application that it sounds almost suspicious at first. I will tell you exactly what they found later in this message, at the right moment, because it deserves the full picture first. For now, hold this question the way you would hold a stone in your pocket. What if the interference on your line was never spiritual failure at all? What if something was quietly taken from you years ago, and no one ever told you it was gone? While you hold that, make one more mark in the record. Type, "I am still listening" in the comments. 4 deletions could not make you leave this path. That sentence is the proof, and heaven treats that kind of proof as an address to deliver to. Because here is where the mystery takes its first real turn. I told you the note was deleted 4 times, and I told you the deletions happened inside you. But I have not told you the strangest part. When I looked closer at the 4th deletion, it did not behave like the other 3. The 4th one was not an attack at all. The first 3 deletions were interference, old voices, old grief, old noise, overwriting a fresh word. But the 4th deletion had a different fingerprint. It came at the exact moment you were finally ready to listen, and it came gently, almost like a hand laid over the page. Because the 4th deletion was not an attack, it was a delay of mercy. The note was pulled back one more time because the version of you reading it would have turned it into pressure instead of promise. You would have taken a holy instruction and used it as one more stick to beat yourself with. So heaven waited, not for a better person, for a quieter mind. And this is where I have to tell you the strangest truth about the note itself. It is not a fixed document. Each time it was rewritten, it changed. The way the second scroll of Jeremiah came back longer than the first. The words grow with the reader. We call this the living note. It is not information sitting in an archive. It is a word that keeps adjusting its language until it matches the person you are becoming, and then it delivers itself. Which means something staggering about tonight. The reason you are hearing this now after 4 deletions is that the current version of the note was finished recently. It was written for the you that exists today, with your exact scars, your exact fatigue, your exact quiet hope that refuses to die. Earlier versions would have missed you. This one cannot. So the past rearranges itself one more time. All those years you thought you were losing messages, the message was tracking you. You were never behind. You were being followed by a word that refused to give up on its address. Let that unwind something in your chest. You were never the one chasing. You were the one being pursued. But now face the question that decides everything, because knowing all of this is still not the same as receiving. Why does insight like this so often stay as insight? Why do people feel a message burn in them at night and watch it evaporate by morning? The answer is not in your willpower. It is not even in your faith. It sits somewhere you have probably never looked, and it is the last place the mystery leads before the note can finally be read. Let me say this part plainly, with no imagery at all, because you deserve to see the mechanics in daylight. Here is the why. A message can only take root in a mind that can hold one thing long enough for it to land. Here is the what. Your mind has been running for years in a fragmented state, split, foggy, overloaded, and in that state, every arriving word gets shredded into noise within seconds, no matter how sacred it is. Here is the who. This is not rare, and it is not your character. It is the documented condition of almost every adult alive today. And it has a physical explanation, which I am about to give you. The fog you have lived with is real, but it was never the end of your story. You now know. The note survived 4 deletions and grew each time. The only question left is whether the instrument that receives it can be restored, and that is exactly what was discovered in that laboratory. In 1981, something was proven in a laboratory that most people in spiritual communities have never been told about. A researcher named Dr. Roger Sperry received the Nobel Prize for showing that the human brain is two hemispheres designed to work as one synchronized whole. Synchronized, the mind receives with ease. Out of sync, the same sincere person lives in fog, distraction and flatness. Here is the finding that should stop you cold. Studies of children found that about 98% of them operate at the level of creative genius, fully synchronized, wide open. By adulthood, fewer than 1 in 1,000 keep that state. Modern life, screens, stress and noise slowly pull the hemispheres apart. That is not spiritual failure. That is physiology. That is the interference on your line, measured. A woman from Manhattan carried what her family called a curse, the same collapse before every breakthrough in every generation. She had prayed against it for years and felt nothing move. Weeks after she found what I am about to describe, she said the strangest thing. The prayers did not change, the receiver did. Her words finally seemed to land inside her instead of echoing. A man from Texas said it differently. Years of holding life together for everyone else had left his mind so foggy he stopped noticing the fog. 2 weeks in, he woke up, and the static was simply gone. Decisions became clear, and the inner quiet he thought he had lost with his youth was back. What they found was this. A team of neuroscientists, led by Dr. Daniel Barone, a neurologist in New York City, took over an hour of clinical neural sync technology, the kind used in specialized medical settings to restore whole brain activation, and compressed it into an 8-minute targeted auditory sequence. 8 minutes a day. Headphones on, eyes closed. That is the entire requirement. They call it the Genius Switch. The Genius Switch is not music, and it is not a meditation app. It is a precise sequence engineered from the Nobel research of Dr. Sperry to reconnect the two hemispheres and reopen the synchronized state you were born in. You do not repeat mantras. You do not force focus. It works beneath your awareness while you rest, which is exactly why the exhausted and the overloaded are the ones it serves best. And I want to be honest about who it is for. The Genius Switch is not for everyone. It is for the chosen one who understands that God prepared not only the promise, but the mind that must walk into it. The one who has been sincere for years, who kept returning to the call even when nothing cooperated, and who is finally willing to treat the fog as a condition with an address instead of a character flaw. The cost tells its own story. Colleagues told Dr. Barone it would be fair even at $500, since one neurofeedback session runs about $300. It was released at $49, and on the official page it currently stands at $39, with 4 free gifts included alongside it. And it carries an unconditional money-back promise. If nothing shifts, every dollar returns to you. One warning, plainly given. Imitations with similar names and nothing inside them float around the internet. The mechanism only exists in what his team built, and the only verified source is linked in the description below and in the pinned comment. If your spirit resonates, read it for yourself before deciding anything. And hear me clearly. The tool does not replace God. It does not obey for you, and it does not love for you. What heaven is doing in you was never conditional on any device, but a restored receiver gives it more room to land. Now, we return to the deeper current, because the note is still waiting to be read. And for the chosen one who felt something stir when the mind was mentioned, that door stays open in the description below. It is a small step, but small steps taken with a clear mind have changed entire seasons. Now everything in this message converges on one moment. 4 deletions. A living word that grew each time it was rewritten. A receiver that is finally quieting. There is nothing left standing between you and the note. You have waited years for this paragraph, and you did not even know it existed. So, slow your breathing all the way down. Let the room around you go still. Picture the note however your heart sees it. A folded page, a sealed letter, a scroll with a wax seal. Your name is on the outside, spelled the way only your father says it, and the seal breaks at your touch. Here is what it says. My child, I never stopped writing. Every silence you grieved was a season I was guarding you, and every delay you cursed was ink still drying. You asked me for a sign and I sent you 4. You can read them now. What I placed in you before you were born is still there, unspent and unspoiled. From tonight, stop asking me whether you are chosen. Start acting like someone who has read my handwriting. Walk toward the thing you keep almost starting. I have gone ahead of you, and I do not write final notes to people I intend to leave. Breathe that in. Do not rush past it. A word like that is not meant to be understood. It is meant to be absorbed, the way Shama intended, hearing that goes all the way down and becomes movement. So let us seal it into your body before we close. Sit back and let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Now picture the 4 deleted copies of your note, the childhood one, the grief one, the noise one, the doubt one, lying like torn paper on a table in front of you. Watch them catch light at the edges, not burning into ash but burning into brightness, each fragment folding itself into the single living page you just heard. Feel that warmth settle in the center of your chest, right where the ache used to live. That warmth is your receipt. Whenever doubt returns this week, place your hand flat on your chest. The body remembers what the mind forgets. Tomorrow morning will look ordinary. It will not be. You will wake as a person who finally signed for their mail, and days built on a received word bend differently. Watch how ideas find you at strange hours, how the right names cross your path, how decisions that circled for months quietly resolve. Stand inside this last moment with me, chosen one, because now we seal everything read over you tonight. Father, thank you. Not for what is coming, but for what was never lost. 4 fires could not destroy 1 sentence of what you wrote over this life. That is enough to hold in silence. And now, chosen one, release it all. Release the story that said you were ignored. Release the years you spent blaming your own hunger. Release the silence you mistook for a verdict. Release the fear that you missed your moment. Let every deletion fall out of your hands. They were never yours to carry. Now stand up on the inside and say this with me. I am the one the note was written for. I am not behind. I was being pursued. I am a receiver, repaired and awake. I am done reading my life through the noise. I am the chosen one who signs for what heaven sends. Say it calmly, because calm is how truth sounds when it has finished arguing. Type "it is written" in the comments as your signature on this covenant, tonight while the ink is still warm. If this message reached something in you, gently pass it on to one person who has been sitting in silence, wondering if heaven forgot their address. You may be the rewrite arriving in their life. And if you want to keep walking with these words, join the chosen ones who gather here, so the next note finds you already listening. It is done. And so it is. The note stays open on the table of your heart, and tomorrow it will say even more.